This video will attempt to provide answers to questions such as why and by whom is Remake happening? Why is Part 2 titled Rebirth? Who or what does Stamp represent? What actually is the Singularity? Are the whispers made out of a tree? Why do we get the nail bat from a group of kids? Is there a connection between Cloud and the proto-materia?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.
Genesis.
Shut up!
All that awaits you.
Shut up! I'm warning
is
you!
A somber morrow.
A commonly held thought is that a Big Bang led us to the present day here on Earth. Along with that sentiment, there is also an idea that the Big Bang universe could have originated from a white hole singularity and will someday end at a black hole singularity. Ever since creation, mankind has thought of many ways to depict sacred space where heaven and earth intersect to meet with their deity. This longing has produced the archetype known as the cosmic tree, which represents the world axis. Some typical examples are the Garden of Eden, the Ziggurat of Babel, and Chichen Itza, along with the Norse Yggdrasil. In the beginning, that is 1997, Square created their universe of Final Fantasy VII. Their story's protagonist was Cloud Strife, conceptualized as a primordial monad representing the singularity embodying all the potential of the cosmos, from whom all things were separated and thereby were created. This is the basis of Final Fantasy VII's functional cosmology. At the heart of the game is an adventure to save a dying planet while restoring the character of Cloud, who is an incomplete cosmic tree of Yggdrasil holding the 9 realms and friends together. Standing at Destiny's core is this lost, broken young man facing a path entrusted to him at Destiny's crossroads. The roots of Yggdrasil are in a continual state of torment, hanging just out of reach of the frozen Nibelheim well. And like a child unable to grow, Cloud remains frozen in time by a tragedy brought about at Destiny's core. There is another cosmic tree, a parasitic one, assuming the name of Sephiroth, a superior soldier idolized by Cloud and mankind alike. He has the same hometown of Nibelheim as Cloud and begins fighting for the right to become the primordial monad. This respected hero soon became influenced by a superintelligence detaching him from his own emotions and humanity. In a fit of rage, like the Muspelheim giant Surtur, he unleashed a devastating fire upon their frigid birthplace. What remained among the ash was a Ginnungagap-like void in Cloud's heart and mind, promising only failure in his role as a singular embodiment of Yggdrasil. A fated doomed path set before him turns Cloud's life upside down, driving him closer to becoming a dark symbol of the inverted Sephiroth tree, symbolizing everything opposed to Gaia, with roots founded and anchored on nothing but a never-ending sky. As fate would have it, heaven does meet earth in a sacred place, and she would have it no other way than to see Cloud regain his roots on the solid ground of Gaia.
Maybe you're not okay.
A journey unfolds with 9 friends that support him in facing off against the persistent threat to Yggdrasil's health. The conflict between these 2 trees seems to be resolved by the felling of Sephiroth at the end. But unbeknownst to the land of the living, the watery lifestream of Gaia has been irreparably polluted, leaving Yggdrasil in a continual state of detriment. This brings us to why does Remake exist, and we'll focus specifically on Chapter 18. Let's go decode this using a different view of the conclusion in light of cosmic trees, creation, and other unsolved mysteries.
You can't mean the stigma. But you're the ones who brought that on yourselves in the first place. Well now, I guess you really do have a short memory.
No, not me. You see, it is my choice to forget.
Stay where you belong. In my memories.
I will never be a memory.
A basic premise to consider going forward is that Cloud has an eternal existence as FF7's universe, but can never forget Sephiroth. This mental dilemma gives life to a perpetual on the way to a Smile Lifestream White 3 to Advent Children loop. And I propose that Aerith breaching Cloud's consciousness in ACC is never enough to break the cycle, as Jenova cannot be destroyed but only contained. As On the Way to a Smile White states, Aerith wanted to appear to Cloud as he remembered her, and I'll suggest it is in her own body to ask for help saving Gaia. As illustrated in the diagram, Aerith has paused the OG ending at a point to prevent the future outcome of Geostigma due to Sephiroth making Cloud the core of his will. While OG ending is paused, she comes back to the beginning of OG, kicking off Remake. Sephiroth, Aerith, and Gaia, and by extension, shown by memory glitches, Cloud, know the OG future. Aerith's goal is to fill that Janunga Gap-like void in Cloud's heart that was and will be left when either Zack, Tifa, or her death lingers in his head.
Isn't it time you did the forgiving?
Our sins ever forgiven?
I've never tried.
You mean, never tried?
Aerith is placing faith in Cloud's ability to integrate the last S-cells in a manner
Let's go.
favorable to humanity and become his true self.
His cells are completely useless. You are a former member of Soldier. Your cellular structure has already mutated.
She knows his heart and knows Cloud needs 9 friends to foster his own remaking, rebirthing, and rebinding into the cosmic tree of Yggdrasil. Otherwise, the future is doomed to the whims of the Kabbalistic Sephiroth tree. Enter Remake. Remake trailers years ago showed the order of Aerith and Sephiroth's appearance. The first trailer showed a white bird followed finally by Remake's black bird. So even though Sephiroth causes a never-ending crisis, I believe Aerith initiated a remake for Gaia to end this. Many things indicated something was not right as Remake's entrance was different than OG. First, Aerith's eyes went from closed to open as opposed to already being open. This is representing her coming back out of the life stream into her body. The final scene in the OG game has Aerith's eyes going from closed to open as she's praying. Secondly, and most importantly, she gets startled by an enigmatic specter in the loveless alleyway, unlike OG where she walks to the street casually. On the Way to a Smile states, he sensed her and gave chase, but then soon stopped. She could feel his mocking laughter behind her as she fled. There is nothing you can do. Still, she had seen what she needed to see, a glimpse of his intentions. I'd like to add also that Crisis Core Reunion showed Remake's beginning as its ending. Not that it matters too much, because it's still the same Crisis Core BEAGLE Gaia. Aerith encounters Cloud and cries, "Help me," this same intent of hers we read in On the Way to a Smile. The whispers take a form upon Aerith's grasp on Cloud's arm because they, like he, is Yggdrasil Gaia in its present state, i.e. that of post-OG. To qualify that weird claim, the whispers are inhabitants of Gaia's souls and form the life stream that give life to a barren creation, like Bugenhagen has said. The visible imagery for these souls and cries of the planet are depicted as darkened, hollow shells with a tree bark veneer. We see the same ash tree bark design in the OG Cloud livestream sequence. There it shows a cut-down ash tree in need of growing upwards from its roots. The child Cloud is the core of Gaia's existence, which is reconfirmed with the yellow flower pinned to his heart by Aerith. I've heavily explored that idea in a previous video picking apart the mural in Aerith's room. Let's jump to Chapter 18, Into the Highway. Sephiroth and the party exchange words.
And you're wrong.
Those who look with clouded eyes see nothing but shadows.
Everything about you is wrong.
Actually, Aerith says, you're different, referring to an essence that is alien to Gaia. His literal response to Aerith's accusation is translated as, those whose eyes are clouded by sentiment see nothing but shadows. This is him suggesting you are too worried about emotions and feelings. Get it? The reference to feelers? Ironic, since the lower 7 of the Sephiroth tree is based upon emotions, as we know he is using to control Cloud.
The world won't end today. But you will.
The Whispers react to this OG final face-off occurring much too early by forming a dome as Cloud is about to engage in battle. At this point in Remake, Cloud still does not know his childhood self.
Listen.
And there lies the threat to destiny. The Whisper's dome over Midgar represents a containment of the entire known BEAGLE universe. Midgar is depicted with 9 sectors as a microcosm to Yggdrasil holding the 9 realms founded upon Cloud. I may be reaching at this point, but the sky around the horizon resembles the livestream sequence in OG with Cloud floating, as he will be once sucked up into the Singularity. Both scenes have the faint reddish-yellow circle around the perimeter, with Cloud located at the core of Yggdrasil. For this scene at night, you may say the sky is only like that due to the sun rising. Maybe. Probably, actually. But suffice it to say, everything outside of Midgar at this point doesn't exist until the Whispers bridge to the past Cloud. This idea will make more sense later with another example. TERRIER Gaia forms outside of the BEAGLE universe dome as the Whispers focus upon Cloud. They derive from him inside the dome and are focusing on him outside the dome. Let me explain the logic behind this. The Whispers were forced to bridge to what would seem like an alternate universe or timeline.
Listen.
But really, they are just containing the present known Cloud from the past but different in mind Cloud. Doing so requires 2 universes due to his primordial monad status. Because to the Whispers, Cloud is not singular in his mind to the state he would have been when facing Sephiroth at the end of OG. They are hedging the outcome of this forced singularity battle by having the BEAGLE Destiny's Crossroad location be overwritten with a past, still comatose Cloud to restart the OG. To the Whispers, this was done to ensure that an unstable Cloud still inherits Zack's legacy, giving shape to the future, existing status of a geostigmatizable planet. The only remnant of BEAGLE Gaia's universe that remains at the end of Remake is the party and Cloud. He is now the true anomaly for Rebirth, being the BEAGLE universe standing in the TERRIER universe of Cloud 2. We should define the Singularity as having these 3 components. First, a place, Midgar. Second and third can be grouped together. Singularity is most importantly based upon a person, the primordial monad. Singularity of time in Final Fantasy VII is a moment when Sephiroth gains or regains a foothold to Cloud. Inside the Singularity, it is on the way to a smile black, with Cloud becoming the core of Sephiroth's will. Outside, it is Destiny's Crossroad at Zack's last stand when Cloud awakens as both Zack and Sephiroth. The Whispers are anticipating one of 2 outcomes from the Singularity. A. The Whispers defeat the party and the existing BEAGLE Gaia, including the primordial monad Cloud, disappears. The TERRIER universe would still pick up from Crisis Core's ending at the cliff. Here, the Whispers could still maintain any necessary interference that resulted in Zack's death and Cloud's mental state, and then proceed into OG as usual. Or, worst case for Whispers, B. The party defeat the Whispers in the Singularity and the party comes out alive at Destiny's Crossroad. With Whispers representing BEAGLE Gaia gone, all their interference that occurred in the BEAGLE Midgar is undone for the new TERRIER Midgar. Most importantly, the 4 party members who would have survived are dead. Though the Whispers didn't expect to be defeated, they knew that this outcome would still leave the possibility for the normal course of OG to occur. There was, however, an unexpected anomaly with the entire Whisper encounter inside the Singularity. Unlike other times throughout Remake, this time the Whispers were not able to slow down the party long enough, and upon their defeat, Zack lived, along with Cloud too. Regardless, from the perspective of the Whispers, the outcome for either scenario is at least one Cloud is alive to continue on from Destiny's crossroads in the TERRIER Gaia. The rain, clouds, and sunset condition of Zack's last stand being identical to Crisis Core in OG inform us that everyone is all in together now at the end of Remake. So what happens inside the Singularity? Let's refresh where we stand before entering it. Aerith started this remake by pausing the OG before the end. I presume it is done so that Aerith can put a rest to the future existing feedback loop of Cloud, Sephiroth, and Jenova. Then she would be able to get some well-deserved rest herself by merging with the livestream. So at the start of Remake, the ones who know the future past when Aerith paused OG is Sephiroth, her, and Gaia. And by proxy Cloud, since he is the primordial monad representing and embodying Yggdrasil. We know this because he gets a few glitchy green glimpses of the future. Okay, I'll try to stop saying primordial monad, but it's hard not to emphasize. At the end of the highway, the threat to the flow of destiny is detected because Sephiroth appears before Cloud. Only when Cloud threatens to fully engage and put an end to Sephiroth do the Whispers dome it off. The Ultimania states, "A boom rings out and all of Midgar shakes from the impact." Likewise, in Norse mythology, the trembling of Yggdrasil foreshadows the coming destruction of Ragnarok. Cloud is the physical manifestation of Yggdrasil, thereby this Whisper Dome on Midgar represents all the BEAGLE Gaia universe being contained. The next event to explain is Sephiroth cutting a hole into the dome and saying,
"I'm waiting, Cloud,"
for the purpose of leaving a bug in Cloud's mind before he enters the singularity thereof. This cut, causing Whispers to liquefy, is reflecting the same idea read in On the Way to a Smile Black, where Sephiroth wants to do something amusing with the hatred, like turn the entire livestream black. Aerith responds and acts on the portal with an opposite touch to relieve the souls of hatred so they can merge back with the livestream. We'll explain the full after effects of their respective touches at the end. Simply to say at this point, it is a nullification to keep BEAGLE Gaia and Cloud's mind in the current status quo before entering. Just as Sephiroth spoke to Cloud to incite anger, Aerith speaks with love to level things back out. The two different portal colors also reference black holes and white holes. Check out the diagram of the Big Crunch theory. It is the idea that a white hole singularity resulted in the Big Bang and will eventually wind up back into the black hole singularity and could repeat as a cycle. And theoretically, if you could enter a white hole, you would end up at the past of everything in the universe. Conversely, if you get sucked up into a black hole, you go into the future of everything in the universe. There is only one point-like singularity. It is the beginning and end of the entire universe and everything in it.
Like a great, never-ending sky.
Anyhow, the party steps into the portal. Whispers, instead of growing upward from Midgar's base like a tree trunk to dome off the universe, are forming from the sky like a Sephiroth tree. They proceed to draw Cloud upward while also separating him from his friends. He regains consciousness and is upside down in a scene paralleling the northern cave, standing on the Sephiroth tree before handing him the black materia. The gravity of this is that the exchange of the black materia led to the post-OG status Gaia is now trying to defend that resulted from Meteor. So Cloud regains himself as the Whispers are forming into a perverted Yggdrasil. The Harbinger represents a Cloud and Gaia from FF7 OG's compilation that are continually plagued by Sephiroth and Jenova. The accretion of Whispers form a hollow Harbinger, containing only a purple mind and heart. Just as the whispers have ash tree bark ephemeral shells, this harbinger forms into a giant tree looking like Treebeard.
A wizard should know better.
But to keep with the Norse theme, it could be a throwback to the first giant named Ymir, whose body was slain to create the Beagle universe. Once we are actually fighting the Harbinger, the musical arrangements begin with Arbiter of Fate Advent followed by Arbiter of Fate Rebirth as we destroy memories of Beagle Gaia and receive visions. As we reach the final musical track titled Arbiter of Fate Singularity, the only one receiving visions of these past, future events is Cloud, since he is foundational to the Singularity. Once the Harbinger is destroyed, Cloud flinches, expecting to receive more visions, but the screen goes white. This white silence indicates a time where Cloud's empty mind is waiting for a direction, hanging in limbo to create its future. A white pause in action has indicated moments throughout the series when Cloud is about to receive an encouraging hand or word of help to ground his reality. The only thing that can happen at this point in the Singularity is to resume the OG that Aerith paused when she chose to physically enter back into Remake. This moment brings everything to a true culmination of Singularity. There is now the Singularity of Cloud's pending mind, the Singularity of time referring to 7 seconds before Beagle Gaia can be led to a future geostigma, and a place, a domed-off Midgard with Cloud in it, symbolizing Beagle Universe. The party now is shown standing in Holy that Aerith has already prayed for before her death. Cloud is asking where they are, but all Aerith can do is shrug. It is up to Cloud's mind to inform the future.
Where are we?
At this lack of support or confirmation, he then hears the same little bug that Sephiroth dropped into his head.
I'm waiting, Cloud.
This unceasing subconscious voice is ultimately at fault for why Holy couldn't move in the OG. It is why Sephiroth obtained the Black Materia. It is why Cloud eventually became the core of his will that enabled On the Way to a Smile and Advent Children, along with an ever crisis of hearing I'll Never Be a Memory. At this point, Meteor bursts through Holy, blowing it away as Cloud echoes the exact same line as in Cosmo Theater.
Sephiroth.
I'd like to interject that it is funny that a technological singularity also has informed Cloud's mind. Likewise, we can find a gold saucer Yggdrasil pen on Chadley, who is a representation of technological singularity.
Sephiroth.
Sephiroth then appears and is shown absorbing Meteor with imagery opposite of that which occurred in the OG ending. There, part of his red lifestream dispersed to dash against Meteor, and part of it remained focused on Cloud's core. Here, the party, along with a physical Aerith, are in the fight as a representation of that same lifestream that fought off Meteor at the end of OG, giving rise to Advent Children and Geostigma. Sephiroth's reversal of Meteor demonstrates regaining his current and post-OG hook into Cloud. The Black Materia's power gives him his future controlling aspect of fate. It is demonstrated by the use of feathers that we've seen him drop as a mnemonic device to bring about change. The scene continues in a manner to inform us that this is Advent Children being shown, only with the On the Way to a Smile physical Aerith.
Did you miss me?
Not really.
As she says, we can change it, we can make it right.
We can do this. We can. We can change it. Make it right.
So this needs to be stated before reaching the edge of creation, as we're getting ready to cause a supernova explosion that destroys the universe of Beagle Gaia. A supernova itself, as the Big Crunch theory proposes, can be the Big Bang white hole of creation, or it can be the result of a dying star, which in this case is Beagle Gaia's eventual course that the Whisperers were defending. Likewise, the protomateria houses a supernova that could control the balance of salvation and destruction, maintaining or bringing about the end of Gaia. In Dirge of Cerberus, we see that the negative life stream is trying to take hold of the proto-materia as Shulk retrieves it. The ending of FF7 OG shows Sephiroth's red life stream desperately trying to cling to Cloud's consciousness. Both game endings depict a gyroscopic energy pattern that is hanging in the balance. The term proto-materia refers to prima materia, or simply the first matter which the universe derives and consists. That sure does sound like the definition of our favorite word, primordial monad. The wood of the tree Yggdrasil is commonly held to be the universal matter. For someone to come into contact with this tree, or to live in or on it, usually meant regeneration or rebirth. Ashwood is very supple, bending before it snaps. Just as the proto-materia is a tool to balance creation and destruction, so too is Aerith and Sephiroth's influencing of Cloud and their use of the white and black materia. When Sephiroth says, "The future, it's up to you," that is entirely accurate. So Cloud, led by anger, attempts to execute Sephiroth using Braver for the third time already. This time, the supernova is one of destruction to the existing domed physical BEAGLE universe. Might I add, excluding the spiritual part as indicated at the end with yellow specks. This same balance with a result of destruction is foreshadowed by the Singularity portal entrance. Sephiroth issued a black hole slice and Aerith a white hole touch. The black hole slice of hatred was repeated inside the Singularity as we witnessed him reabsorbing the black materia magic of ultimate destruction and his own dashed memories. The black materia's usage and its outcome allows his perpetual tether to Cloud through emotions and manipulation by black feathers. Since Cloud is the living creation and Sephiroth has free access through him, then it follows that the black materia establishes a route for pseudo-time travel. To support this claim and hint at a later section of this video, take a look at the poster that says, "Even when you're an adult, life can still get you down." That's a direct reflection of Cloud still being a child. We see the child and an adult Cloud struggling before handing a Sephiroth clone the black materia. This poster shows 3 black materia pyramids, with one being in the process of transformed and snatched away. These 3 pyramids represent the past OG, the present Singularity Sephiroth, and the future Rebirth. I want to come back to the Temple of Ancients later, so let's finish the Singularity. With BEAGLE Gaia destroyed, we enter Cloud's subconscious mental wormhole like in the original game. In the OG, it was his mind zipping through the life stream and heart of Gaia pending its reformation. This time it is his mind traveling through an undetermined and unformed universe. The barren rock he lands on is either a dying or forming Gaia. But more specifically, the edge of creation landscape is Destiny's Crossroads cliff overlooking Midgar. It is here where Zack and Cloud are traveling to take part in a pending destruction or shaping of TERRIER Gaia and its universe.
We who were born of the planet, with her we speak, her flesh we shape.
The edge of creation landscape contrasts 2 universes. There is a dying universe in the supernova nebula shaped like Sephiroth's wing, and then there's the universe being created, represented by the red emission nebula with an outline of a cosmic tree at its center. Our finished trip through the Singularity suggests that BEAGLE Gaia just exploded and is the beautiful winged nebula Sephiroth is looking towards. And now, standing in Cloud's subconscious where time has stopped, we are about to pick up the process of creation based upon Cloud as to how the new TERRIER world will unfold. The blue and red lighting contrast strongly suggests and parallel the Norse Ginnungagap void awaiting the process of time to resume. The Norse tale states that in the beginning of the universe, Muspelheim's fire caused the dripping of Niflheim's ice to form in the void and create the first giant named Ymir. He was then slain, and from his dead body the universe formed. Well, we just destroyed one giant harbinger like Ymir representing Cloud and BEAGLE Gaia. And now with what remains, we are standing here taking heat from Sephiroth to reshape a new TERRIER universe. The nebula colors may seem to be reversed as to what we would expect, but note that both Cloud and Sephiroth are born in Nibelheim. The red should represent the fiery wrath of Sephiroth, while the blue should correspond with Cloud's icy frozen heart awaiting its thawing. Cloud, not Sephiroth, is the true hero from Nibelheim, and rightful owner of the universe that Sephiroth seeks to control. This must be why the red color is laying claim to the creation nebula of Yggdrasil. As the tension mounts between them, his subconscious resolution with Sephiroth ends in Cloud's defeat. He is disarmed from the Buster Sword legacy as Zack's grave marker is then planted. The only thing left for Cloud is the black feather of fate landing on his brain. Likewise, upon BEAGLE Cloud awakening at Destiny's crossroads, the ominous portending of the black feather transcends space and time, with him being held in his grasp. Here we are left at the end of Remake, with Zack and two Clouds passing at the crossroads of destiny, separated only by a few hours' time. The original BEAGLE FF7 compilation's destiny was just done away with since Aerith thinks it is wrong and can be better. Everything that once informed us as the player of BEAGLE Yggdrasil is done away with except the party and Mr. Yggdrasil himself. Before the party can head out on their unknown adventure, this black feather of fate is still on Cloud's mind and appears in his hand, deciding to come along with him into the new Gaia. We later see in another trailer the pure white feather representing the Buster Sword's legacy is with a living Zack and an unconscious TERRIER Cloud heading towards Midgar. Zack's now living status is the only reason the feather is not touched with darkness. At the end of Crisis Core, there is a white feather with a black tuft. This shows the pure Buster Sword legacy from Angeal that starts off white and ends tainted by Cloud and Sephiroth during the OG Final Fantasy VII compilation. The second Rebirth trailer shows a mostly black feather with a white tuft dropping in Midgar. This could be due to the little bit of humanity Sephiroth gained as we hear him use Ore at the edge of creation. But also, it symbolizes the new Buster Sword legacy that has started again in the FF7R trilogy. Already it has become blackened by Cloud, but will end with a glorious white tuft upon TERRIER Gaia. In the same trailer, we hear Aerith say this:
Just look at it all. It's so green. Even after everything we've done to it, it's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
Well, that is because it is a reflection of both Yggdrasil Clouds. One who is holding on to hatred, and the other still comatose and being held onto by Zack heading to Midgar. There is one last interesting thing heard in the trailer. After showing Aerith dead, when the screen is cutting to the unknown journey continues, 7 grandfather clock-like chimes of her theme play. These clock chimes are a foreshadowing of the tragic scene coming up in the Forgotten Capital. Talking about time, that makes them intricately tied to the Temple of the Ancients and my previous suggestion about time travel. The Forgotten Capital music box requires the key of the Ancients for viewing the activation of Holy inside the White Room. This music box functions like a grandfather clock being wound up by a key having crystal rods and stone pillars instead of gears, hammers, and weights. Once the key is used, a giant materia in the White Room holds a recording of past events for preserving the future life of Gaia and are played upon a screen of water. Is it any coincidence that Aerith's birthday is February 7th, associated with the constellation of Aquarius? Maybe, maybe not. Let's get to the Temple of the Ancients. There are a lot of cool things going on with this place. Most obviously is that it is modeled after Chichen Itza Temple of the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl. before we can even approach the temple, there is a black cloaked figure, number 9, that probably was Sephiroth inside the mural room. We witness the clone falling over as if sacrificed at the summit. This scene itself alludes to the Flower Flute Festival in Aztec tradition. During it, someone would walk up the temple steps to the altar playing a flute, only to have their heart taken out as a sacrifice in order to prevent any coming destruction of the world. It's no wonder NOBUO UEMATSU has such a heavy flute emphasis for the Temple of the Ancients music. Next, we enter the doorway, where the only way to proceed is via the keystone. I propose that the keystone, as shown in artwork, is an empty gray materia with only hints of purple specks that becomes populated with the living temple and becomes the black materia. Seems similar to how the white materia, once wholly is activated, will grow a pale green. So back to the keystone altar. It is made of wood, probably an ash tree, and has 5 connected holes that glow purple once the key is inserted. Quickly take note of the crazy remake drawing I mentioned previously. It has 5 yellow orbs that move each pyramid. I'll hazard to say this has to do with the 5 ages, or the 5 suns of the Aztec calendar, which I'll refer to again later. Inside we hear Sung say, "He's been tricked." That's a play on words to the defining characteristic of another Aztec god I'll mention in a moment. Once we activate the keystone altar, we hear a heartbeat, along with the same sound as when the clone was sacrificed. Then we pass through an obsidian mirror on the floor into the living temple. This is a good parallel to how we activate the White Room Recorder at the Forgotten Capital to enter a holy place. I'd like to mention that the brother of Quetzalcoatl, whose pyramid we're in, is named Tezcatlipoca. He's known as the Lord of the Night Sky and carries with him an obsidian mirror, also called the Smoking Mirror. With this black mirror, he is able to foretell the future and spy on others using it. He's also known as the Trickster God and can shapeshift to whatever form he desires. When in his jaguar form, he represents sin, corruption, and all evil things.
The source of everything.
It's an illusion. Stay calm.
Passing through the obsidian floor and into the maze, Red 13 mentions it smells like Cosmo Canyon. The Cosmo Canyon is located in the valley of the fallen star. I assume that this is a reference to the ancient massive meteor Chicxulub that occurred thousands of years ago that helped form the cenotes in Mesoamerica. It is also credited in some circles with killing the dinosaurs. The cenotes represent the underworld, flowing beneath the ziggurats connecting the 3 parts of the world axis, or cosmic tree, as we talked about earlier. To further tie in the location to Cosmo Canyon, there is at the site of Chichen Itza the observatory named El Caracol, which looks remarkably similar to Bugenhagen's observatory. Wandering through the maze, we will fight a creature that is like the Minotaur of Greek mythology. This one, though, is half bull, half jaguar, and colored black and red, a reference back to the jaguar god Tezcatlipoca. Eventually, we come to the Time Guardian, who states, "I am the Time Guardian. Ye who seek the knowledge of the ancients, I control the time. Select your path." But of course, I'm going to jump off of space and time altogether and fall through the void outside of any parameters. I feel like this kind of reflects the statement by Toriyama when asked about 7 seconds until the end. He states, "When time resumes its flow, whether the end will really come or not after 7 seconds, or whether some sort of force will act to change the course of space-time is, as Sephiroth says, contingent upon Cloud." This is, I think, the meaning of the phrase. Well, what do we find in this secret area outside of time? For one, a reference to dinosaurs, but more importantly, nothing other than the nail bat, a force of power made in the shape of an ashen baseball bat. Probably a Louisville Yggdrasil slugger. Yes, the weapon of a primordial monad on a level far greater than the proto-materia. In the remake Ultimania, one of the developers states, "I was surprised that the nail bat was a reward from a kid with a bat on his back." Well, duh, there are 5 other kids with wooden buster swords on their back looking to the leader wielding the nail bat, of course.
No surprises there.
After solving the temple's puzzle using K-Sith's replaceable body, he tells one last fortune of Cloud and Aerith's affinity. K-Sith's lines, which seem to expect Cloud and Aerith's wedding, now make it much more painful. Looks good. You are perfect for each other. Aerith Star and Cloud Star. They show a great future. Poor Tifa. According to the Mayan calendar, the 4th sun ended by a flood and the 5th started on August 11th, which is Cloud's birthday, 3114 or 3113 BC. This cycle presumably came to an end on December 21st, 2012, when many people wanted to think it would be the end of the world. Some astronomers believe we moved into the age of Aquarius after this, but there is no consensus on how to determine the beginning of an age. That's basically the reason why I mentioned Aerith's birthday earlier when we were in the White Room watching Holy on a screen of water. In Final Fantasy VII, in the Temple of the Ancients mural room, the black materia is depicted as a type of control for these cycles using meteor. I'd also like to state that in ancient cosmologies, stars are used for the passage of time, and the owner of them speaks to who's in control of time and space. While standing in Bugenhagen's planetarium, we can see what looks to be a clock surrounding the perimeter of his universe. This is a reference to show how stars are used to measure time. Though Gaia is a planet, it's always called a star. Before proceeding, I want to throw in another subtle reference to the control of time bouncing between white and black materia. In the Ultimania Plus, one of the developers state, "As enjoyable as time spent with Aerith is, the unstable future swings back and forth between them, evoking memories of the future." Sounds kinda like a pendulum on a clock to me, with Cloud's emotions swinging back and forth between Aerith and Sephiroth, which will determine how his proto-materia-like supernova will end. Also, from the Ultimania Omega character reports, we read, Cloud's consciousness as a Sephiroth copy is awakened after he's called upon by Sephiroth, or rather Jenova in his guise in the mural room. This is likely the reason he firmly insists on retrieving the black materia. After handing over the long-sought black materia to Sephiroth, Cloud is overcome with such confusion that he cannot recognize who he is and violently beats Aerith as she's standing beside him. Before handing Sephiroth black materia, we previously learned of his plan to be reborn as a new existence, as a god. And while standing in the aftermath of the temple's transformation, Sephiroth states, "And soon, I will create the future." Aerith responds, "I won't let you do it. The future is not just yours." Sephiroth, ha ha ha, I wonder. And at this point, Cloud has fully awakened as Sephiroth's puppet, and we return full circle to conclude our discussion of Aerith needing to fix Yggdrasil before it becomes the Sephiroth tree. The love of Tifereth, or shall I say Tifa Lockhart, desperately needs to take place in Cloud's icy heart for his upcoming rebirth. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I also must say, as a born-again Christian in Jesus Christ, this topic of rebirth really hits home.